Thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, glad to make time.
In a time in which there's a lot of Republicans and foreign relations sparring with the president, you're not. In fact, you go in the opposite way. Why is that?
Well, the American people elected Donald Trump to be our commander-in-chief, and if we want to keep our country safe and secure, then it's important that the commander-in-chief succeed. And I think Donald Trump, by and large, is getting things right. He's certainly much more consistent with decades of bipartisan foreign policy leadership than Barack Obama was for the last 8 years. So when the president does things like tells Congress and tells our allies that the Iran deal is not in the United States' national security interest, I'm going to support it. My views were widely known on this. In July, I argued at the time that we shouldn't have certified the deal. I understand why the president did at the time, but I'm glad that he decided not to certify it this time around.
So you're going to have to work with Senator Corker on this, Chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. Do you feel as though his personal animosity towards the president, which is newfounded, will prevent him from doing anything productive in this area?
They may have a few differences that they need to work out on the personal level, but on the question of our relationship with Iran and the threat they pose, I think we're all in agreement, and it's just a matter of trying to bring a large majority of our colleagues in the Congress along with us.
So you were quoted as saying this: when you think the president is wrong, you have a duty to try to present to him better facts if you're an advisor. Now, if you want it your way, then your job is, once the president makes his decision, is to execute the president's decision. If you feel strongly enough, then you have to resign. Are you recommending that people, like if the Secretary of State Tillerson doesn't agree with the president, rather than have a different public statement or private statement that leaks out, to just get out of there?
The simple fact of the matter is the American people elect the president ultimately to make these decisions. If one feels strongly enough that he's taking the wrong course, then one really needs to resign. Otherwise, one has to execute the president's guidance, even if one disagrees with it.
With the great relationship with the president, a lot of people look at Senator Tom Cotton and say that attitude is why President Trump ultimately will look to have you in his cabinet somewhere. And they're talking about maybe CIA director, should Pompeo move over and Rex Tillerson move on.
Well, I was going to say, I think that job is filled right now, as they all are filled. One of the good things about being a U.S. Senator is that you answer to the people back home in Arkansas.
All right, Senator, let's move on, if we can, and talk about health care. Susan Collins over the weekend said the president did something irresponsible, taking the $7 billion away from Obamacare. Do you feel the same way?
President Trump simply said that Congress did not appropriate this money, and he doesn't have the legal authority to keep spending it. In fact, a federal judge has reviewed the matter and said that it was unconstitutional for President Obama to spend those billions of dollars without congressional approval. All these points, President Trump is trying to restore the rule of law and constitutional government by giving an issue back to Congress that should be Congress's responsibility.
On Sunday, Senator Lindsey Graham said this: if Republicans don't deliver on health care and tax reform, we're going to disintegrate as a party.
What worries me a little bit more than the status of the Republican Party or the Democratic Party or who's up or who's down, I'm worried about what it means for the people I serve in Arkansas and for all Americans.